Democrat. All right, here is the part nobody wants to say out loud. Donald Trump did not simply remove his attorney general from office. He removed her just 12 days before she was expected to sit under oath and answer questions tied to Jeffrey Epstein. 12 days, not a year before, not even a few months before, but less than 2 weeks away from testimony that could have placed major details into the public record forever. That timing does not look random. It looks calculated. And once you understand what Pam Bondi reportedly knew, what she may have been asked, and what that deposition could have forced into the open, it becomes clear why many people believe this was not ordinary political damage control. It looked more like panic coming from the highest levels of power. What makes this situation even more shocking is that the subpoena did not come from one political side trying to score points. It was bipartisan. 5 Republicans joined Democrats in demanding that Bondi appear and answer questions under oath. Members of Trump's own party looked at the Epstein files controversy and decided something was seriously wrong. The moment that vote happened, the countdown began. April 14 was set as the deposition date. The questions had already been prepared. And then suddenly on April 2, Trump announced on Truth Social that Pam Bondi would be leaving her position and moving into the private sector. He praised her service, thanked her publicly, and within moments, the woman who was supposed to testify about the Epstein files was no longer in office. After that, the Justice Department moved quickly. Officials argued that because Bondi had been subpoenaed in her role as Attorney General, the subpoena no longer applied once she left the job. According to that argument, she no longer had to appear, no longer had to answer questions, and the April 14 deposition effectively vanished overnight. Just like that, one of the most important testimonies connected to the Epstein investigation disappeared before it even happened. But the detail making people deeply uncomfortable is how precise the timing appears. You do not remove an attorney general less than 2 weeks before a sworn deposition and then immediately claim the subpoena no longer counts unless you fully understand the outcome you are creating. This was not messy or accidental. It was targeted and exact, and that alone raises questions about what was expected to come out during that testimony. Powerful people do not take steps like this just to avoid embarrassment. They take steps like this when they fear information becoming part of the permanent record forever. That difference matters more than anything right now. So what exactly was Bondi expected to explain? This is where the story becomes even darker. Months before she was removed, Bondi had already found herself at the center of a major controversy inside the Trump administration. During a February 2025 appearance on Fox News, she told viewers that an Epstein client list was sitting on her desk waiting to be reviewed. That statement exploded across the country. For years, people had followed the Epstein case believing there were still hidden names, hidden files, and hidden connections waiting to come out. The moment Bondi mentioned a client list, many people believed the truth was finally about to surface. But later, the Department of Justice released a statement saying no such client list existed in the way people understood it. Bondi later clarified that she had been referring to Epstein-related paperwork in general, including documents and flight logs, not an official client list specifically. The reaction was immediate and intense from both political parties. That reversal became the exact moment several Republicans on the House Oversight Committee began supporting the subpoena because their own voters were watching a former attorney general describe something on national television that later appeared not to exist the way she described it. That stopped being a partisan argument and became a credibility issue. And credibility issues are exactly why depositions exist. You sit down under oath, swear to tell the truth under penalty of perjury, and explain clearly what you knew, what you saw, and what changed between the moment you made those statements publicly and the moment the DOJ corrected them. That deposition was supposed to happen on April 14, and many believed it could become one of the most significant moments in the Epstein investigation so far because Bondi was not just another witness. She was the person leading the department responsible for handling the release of Epstein-related files under federal law. The Epstein Files Transparency Act passed in 2025 and legally required the Justice Department to release millions of records. Decisions about what was released, what stayed hidden, what was delayed, and what was heavily redacted all happened while Bondi was Attorney General. Now, an Inspector General investigation is examining whether the DOJ actually followed that law properly, while the Government Accountability Office has also launched its own review into how the department handled the Epstein files. These are not small political stunts, Pratt. These are official institutional investigations that usually take years to begin because the stakes are considered extremely serious. And right in the middle of all of it stood one deposition, one witness, and one date. Then suddenly the witness was gone and the date disappeared with her. The administration wants the public to believe this was a normal personnel decision. They want people to think Trump simply lost confidence in Bondi's handling of the Epstein situation and chose to replace her with someone else. They also want people to believe Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche had no idea why Bondi was removed. But many people find that difficult to accept, considering Blanche was previously Trump's personal defense attorney and now runs the Justice Department at the center of this entire controversy. During a press conference, he was directly asked whether he would try to delay or block Bondi's deposition, and instead of giving a clear answer, he said he would leave the issue for congressional leadership to handle. Critics saw that response as another sign that nobody wanted to publicly explain what was happening. Representative Seth Moulton said it openly. He argued Bondi was removed because she was about to testify in the Epstein investigation. He did not hedge his words or soften the accusation. He simply pointed at the timeline and stated what he believed was obvious. He also added that this administration repeatedly acts as if it is not accountable to the law. Supporters of the investigation say that statement is not simply political rhetoric anymore, but a description of events unfolding in public view. However, there is another part of this story many reports are ignoring. Removing Bondi did not necessarily erase the deposition forever. It delayed it, complicated it, and shielded it from immediate scrutiny, but the legal fight itself continued. Democrats on the committee immediately argued Bondi still had a legal obligation to testify, regardless of whether she still held office. Representative Robert Garcia publicly stated that the subpoena remained valid, while Republican Representative Nancy Mace also insisted Bondi could not escape accountability simply by leaving the position. That detail matters because it showed Republicans and Democrats agreeing again that answers were still owed to the American people. Soon after, Democrats introduced a resolution to hold Bondi in civil contempt of Congress. Under that process, the matter could move into federal court, where a judge would decide whether her departure from office actually canceled the subpoena or not. Eventually, a new date was scheduled for May 29, meaning the fight was far from over. Instead of a quiet deposition behind closed doors, the situation exploded into a public legal battle involving contempt threats, court involvement, inspector general reviews, and a growing national spotlight. In many ways, critics argue the attempt to stop the testimony may have made the controversy even larger than before. There is also a wider pattern people are beginning to connect. First, the Epstein files were supposed to be released under federal law. Then those releases faced delays. Then only partial information became public. Then officials announced that additional files would not be released despite legal pressure demanding transparency. After that, Bondi publicly referenced a client list that later appeared not to exist in the way people first understood. Then came the bipartisan subpoena, followed by her removal just 12 days before testimony, and finally the legal argument claiming the subpoena no longer applied. Many critics say that sequence does not look accidental. To them, it looks organized, connected, and deliberate, with each step designed to prevent sensitive information from entering the public record permanently. Meanwhile, the victims and families connected to the Epstein case continue watching all of this unfold in real time. Relatives of Virginia Giuffre released statements after the April 14 deposition was blocked, saying they were willing to wait for a new date, but arguing the Justice Department was hiding behind technicalities. They insisted that regardless of Bondi's title, she had still been subpoenaed and still needed to answer questions. These are not political commentators speaking. These are families who have spent years searching for answers, connected to people they loved. That is why many observers believe the argument over whether a personnel change can erase legal accountability feels deeply disturbing no matter where someone stands politically. The deposition may still happen. Contempt proceedings are active, federal investigators are still reviewing the matter, and courts may eventually decide whether a resignation or firing can truly cancel a congressional subpoena. But many people believe the panic itself already revealed something important. Powerful leaders do not fight this hard to bury something insignificant. You do not remove an attorney general days before sworn testimony just to avoid embarrassment. Moves like this happen when the people involved fear what could become public once the questioning begins. Pratt. In the eyes of critics, the effort to stop the testimony became part of the testimony itself. The panic became the evidence. And whatever happens next may finally reveal why so much energy was spent trying to keep those answers hidden from the public.